Hello, fan people of the internet. It's Alpha Angel. Welcome back to the channel. And today, we're taking up from Blind Channel, heading up to the wonderful place of Gilford Island. And it got confused because it's called Gilford Island, but it's Health Bay Seaplane Base. Either way, we're taking the Pacific Coastal Beaver up because I do love flying the Beaver. And I get to use this livery in its correct location. So there is that. Right, we are drifting away here, so put the parking brake on, because, you know, that actually has an impact for some reason. Pull our gear up, because I don't know why that was down. But we're holding a station. Cool. Perfect. Wonderful. So let's get ourselves set up here, get ourselves ready to rock and roll. Let's close the oil filler cap. We always need that one done. Let's make sure we are selected to our forward tank. And let's get our systems turned on here. We're not going to take a canoe with us because, frankly, a canoe is a little bit much for today, so we will deal with that. My co-pilot's visible. We'll load her up for our flight today. We'll be taking people up to Health Base, so we'll make sure we have all that stuff on. Passenger cargo, so wrong weather. We're using live weather, so we don't need that. We do have only this. We'll just quickly 170 every seat because, frankly, I'm not messing with people's weights. They can just pretend to be less fat or more fat as much as they want to be. I'm not picky. We'll take a football team. There we go. I should make about 200 pounds. And we'll take, what, 50 pounds of cargo? Cool. That'll do. Max payload. We're slightly overweight. 35 pounds. Okay, you can go on a diet. And we'll take one cheerleader. I'm going to be mean and make her 130 pounds. Because I'm an asshole. Although, to be fair, I'll be kind to the cheerleader. She could be 110 pounds. They don't eat, do they? Let's move the rear weight down. We'll take some fuel out, and we'll call ourselves underweight. Wonderful. So we are basically fully loaded, though. We're heading up to Health Bay, so that's all good to go there. Let's make sure we prime our motor. 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 5. Wonderful. Okie dokie. Water rudders are down. Let's make sure our boost is on, which is one of these. I keep forgetting which it is. That's my engine starter. Yeah? I am being very dumb today. Completely dumb. Fuel pressure's fine. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so we'll get our starter engaged, and 3, 2, 1. Ah, it doesn't want to do it today. Okay, stop the engine. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I know why it's being stupid, because Flight Sim resets my levers. Crack the fuel. Let's go again. We have engine start, wonderful. And we're motoring away from the dock already here at Blind Bay. Or Blind Channel. And we're sailing over a square or two. Someone left some trash in the water. That is unfortunate for us. But it's a pretty little seaplane base. So we'll motor ourselves out into the open here. And we'll get ourselves ready to rock and roll. This looks most advantageous for us. Winds are calm out here. We're using real-world live weather right now. Should be dark-ish, but who's counting? It's Canada. I think we are ready to rock and roll. Let's make sure this is up here. Water rudders are up and clear. Flaps set for takeoff. And we are motoring. Okay, let it settle back a little bit there. Nice and gentle. And we'll ease back. Whoa, she's a little bit heavy today. She wanted to lift off, but she didn't all of a sudden. Quite steep. We'll ease this forward. I got real shifty real quick. Okay. Let's make sure this is set to our right page. Should have done this before takeoff, but I'm feeling a little bit irrational today. So, who's counting? Now, we should be mostly heading to the north, so we'll circle around here as we pull the flaps in. A little bit of trim. Pull our power back here. And our RPM. almost got to come 180 here because of the direction we took off in, so we'll circle around over the forest here. So one thing I love about Flight Sim, the new one compared to our older sims, this density of trees just wouldn't exist in previous sims. It actually looks like a forest on the edge of the Pacific coast. It feels real, unlike prior experiences. So we've got about a 30-minute flight today up to Health Bay. It should be nice and gentle for us. Weather is gorgeous. We're looking at 3 knots on arrival from 262 degrees. So there's the seaplane base below us. That's where we just took off from. And there is something stunning about seeing a beaver flying above a seaplane base. And I love how we still got some water spray coming off the floats. It's cool. I'm not sure why it's still coming off the floats, but it's cool to see some dissipating. Haha. You can just about make a little white streaks there. Not sure why it's doing that still again, but you know, maybe it's draining some away. Okay, we're roughly on course here, so we're doing good. Shouldn't be a particularly long flight for us. In fact, we're going to set our power back down here towards cruise. Now we're in the right position. Now, I figured we started with a gentle flight today. I didn't actually record anything this Thursday, which I meant to do. I do apologise, guys, but technical difficulties with my computer occurred. By the way, if you buy a stock cooler, don't use it on a raging monster of a CPU, because a Wraith cooler is great for most AMD CPUs. It's more than sufficient unless you go water cooling. It's not sufficient for a 9 Series 5900X, which burns like the sun's backside out of Taco Bell. It's like a nuclear reactor in your computer. It got remotely warm when I started having overheating issues, so we now have a massive Noctua NC15 cooler, which has 240mm case fans attached to it. It's redonkulous. It has 2 radiators. But now my cooling issues are non-existent as I look at my onboard temperatures right now. I'm chalking along at 60 degrees. Me gusta. Yes. Right, set power correctly for where we want it to be. About 2200 RPM. We'll go to there. We'll fly a bit harder than we normally would. Set the mixture back a notch just past lean. And we'll take our power back to there. And we're looking good. Now we're mostly level here. We're just going to give ourselves a little notch trim. We're actually going to want to start climbing, so I'm going to push our power back up to about 32. A little bit of nose down trim to compensate for the extra power. There we go. Because we are going to be climbing up here to get over these hills in front of us. We don't really want to have to go around. It's going to be a hassle. I'd rather we just get up and over. Much, much easier for us. There have been some interesting planes coming out recently, haven't there? I've certainly had a good time. The Transall 160. Actually enjoyable. Loud as hell. Makes my ears bleed, but really fun. We have the Mall. Now the Mall is something I want to revise and go back on, because if, like me, you've acquired it and you were a fan of things at the Mall, you might have been slightly disappointed, and I am. Because it's not quite as wonderful as I thought it was going to be. The pitch issue is still not changed. They've updated it. The biggest thing that annoys me is their installer. It's atrocious. It is so irritating, because installing an update is not a simple process. They force you to use an installer, but make the process of installing far harder than just giving you a downloadable executable. It makes no sense. Like, when you click on the update button on the installer, it just downloads an update for you to then run and install. And none of it makes sense, because sometimes you have to completely uninstall the aircraft. It's convoluted. And it's not even got any systems depth to it, which is frustrating given the complexity of the installer, validation of installers, locating your drive has to run its own executable. It's incredibly complicated. The plane's okay. It's not bad. It flies well, apart from the pitch sensitivity, which is extremely aggressive. I was looking forward to them all, and I just feel like it's a little lackluster. Whereas I would automatically choose the aircraft, I really don't want to now, because kind of just feels a bit meh. Like, it's not a bad purchase, it's cheap and it's a good aircraft, but it's a little on the annoying side, I think is the best way to describe it. Right, let's get our nose pointed back down again. We can level off here and keep our altitude. Hopefully pick up some speed, in fact. There's nothing like flying in Canada, is there? Coming over terrain like this. go. Some very boingy hillocks ahead of us. A little bit of trim. If I can take my feet off the pedals here, we don't need any rudder input right now. So I'm just going to settle my trim down. I find that I do most of my trimming with the buttons on my control, on my actual control yoke here. And I use the wheel on my Honeycomb Bravo as kind of like a fine tune. Because it just doesn't move as quickly in the sim without customizing the wheel's performance a lot using external software, which I really can't be bothered to do. It's too much hassle. The trim wheel moves in such tiny increments, it's not quite as balanced as real life, but it gives me those small nuances to let me settle my trim like this, mostly, compared to the rest. Now, looking at my motion lotion right now, we're on the forward tank. So front's got about 9.5 gallons left in it. So we're not doing too badly. And we've got half the front tank and a quarter, a little bit, we'll call the rear tank reserve. But we have about half a middle tank still, so we should be good. More than enough fuel to make it all the way here. And if all else fails, we've got lots of wet stuff to land on and wait for more fuel. Catching little gusts here and there, giving us some undulation in the flight, but we're not too bad. And this one mountain ahead of me looks atrocious, but the rest look fine, so we'll pretend it doesn't exist. It's wonderful. There's something about this part of the world that absolutely does it for me, you know. It's just so majestic. Absolutely gorgeous place. I'm hoping we don't have to cross too much of that up ahead of us. That could get annoying. And the world does seem to be getting a little weird at places, but hey, we'll go with it. There's a seaplane base over there, I think. Or is that a fish farm? I think that's a fish farm over to our left. Oh, we're now pointing nose down for some reason because the trim doesn't want us to stay in one place. No, come back. Thank you. Behave. Behave, 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 behave. There we go. Good aeroplane. Good airplane. Let's just give you a little bit of nuance the power here. Yep, that's the fish farm over there, I think, because if we zoom in, yep, fish farm. See all those squares? A number of the sceneries for this area add a bunch of things like that, and it's rather nice to see. Oh yeah, looks like we're heading inland a little bit here. God, that's hilarious. I'm not even mad. That just looks weird. It's like one of those layer cakes, you know, where they have the different colours bled throughout with the different food dyes. It's like the mountain had a stroke. Such a stupid thing to find funny, but I do. So I've had a number of questions from you guys, the viewers, by the way, as the videos have gone on. And I want to try and take the opportunity to answer some of those. Now, one of the first ones I'll address is reviews and adverts. Now, adverts is something YouTube does, and for YouTubers it's our lifeblood, okay? It's how we make our living. Now, channel memberships are a huge thing, but adverts are our main source of income. So we do have to include adverts in our videos. I'm sorry, it's how we earn a living. Now, this channel isn't my main income. This is my second channel, but I will tell you, it is my main channel's income, and I panic every day about YouTube being my sole employer, basically. It's hard. And I don't want to include as many adverts as I do. I try to keep them to a minimum compared to some people, because believe me, some channels it's awful. Now, for people who it's not their main job, it's a hobby thing they do on the side, they may not have adverts, or they may have one at the start. For those of us where it's our actual livelihood, it matters. Now, I will tell you, the vast majority of sim mods I review, can I call them mods now? Do I call them add-ons? Are we changing up? Is it DLC? The vast majority of sim aircraft I review and features and things are all purchased by me, out of pocket. I think I've been sent about 8 or 9, 10, maybe 11 aircraft over time. The last ones were things like the RANs, R6, and 1 or 2 others, but I buy most of the aircraft I review. So yeah, it's expensive. Especially when, you know, every new aircraft pops out and it's $30 here, $20 here, $40 here. It gets pretty pricey. And that's a road. Huh. Well, there you go. That'd be a gorgeous road to drive along, actually. This whole area is generally, by the way, the Campbell River. It's referred to as. All necking up from Campbell River Seaplane Base further south. God, the scenery is stunning. I've still got water bleeding off my floats. My God, these things are leaky. We must have taken on a lot of water. So as I was saying, obviously, add-ons quite expensive. It does really cause a burden. So I appreciate those of you who watch the adverts and don't skip them, and I appreciate those of you who have memberships. I'm trying to work out what I can offer you members that's better than just exclusive Discord access. Because it hasn't been a huge success. I want to try and do something better. It's just what is the thing that I always get stuck on. But yeah, YouTube's a fickle beast, and it's something I have to work with every day, and I hate it, but it's the nature of the beast. It's something I find I'm not terrible at, so I go with it. So connected to that, obviously, one of the main things I also get asked is why I can skip some things when I'm flying. Well, I could go with 100%, 1000% sim route, and I do sometimes, but there's a lot of people out there who do that, and I find that YouTube videos that are generally attempted to be shorter and more concise are watched by more people. Not only is the casual market far higher, no one wants to see me spending 25 minutes setting up and starting a plane before I even take off, but people don't like that much of that stuff in a video. So I try to keep it as much of that to a minimum as possible. I could do everything exactly the real world way. It would be realistic. But I can also take shortcuts because I know this plane isn't going to fall out of the sky and kill me. I don't need to worry. I'd rather focus on giving you guys a gorgeous, beautiful, exciting flight when I'm not reviewing an aircraft. Another one of those things connected again to this, it's a bit of a triple threat here, is the reviews. Why do I do these first look reviews? Same reason. People want quick information. People appreciate things punchy and to the point, and they want to see what they want to see. I try and make these videos the way I, as a simmer growing up, wanted to find out about an aircraft. And back then, there weren't really that many YouTube channels about flight sim stuff. Actually, there weren't many at all. We're talking 15 years ago. And they were limited. Most of the YouTube videos about a flight sim add-on were few and far between, and they were usually all promos. Now, what I wanted to know was, do these things click? Can I open things? How does it actually look inside? What's its performance like? How's it fly? Are there any weird things, any good things, bad things, nuanced things? I wanted to know the ins and outs of the quick nuts and bolts. And if I liked an add-on, I could then go off and spend more time. Maybe I could go find a video by someone who's an expert and learn from them. Go read manuals, which I do. I learned how to start the Beaver. Do things properly with this. But it depends. Not every aircraft I have time to. So I approach it from the first look perspective in that I try to give people as much insight as possible. I am not going to sit here and tell you this is an accurate 100% replication of the real aircraft. I'm not going to tell you that you will know every nuance, nut and bolt and show you exactly how to do everything. It's not a tutorial, it's a review. So I try and hit the highlights. That's important for me. I try and show you the important parts. We should be pretty close just as we get over this rise here, actually, so we'll start climbing here. Other questions. Where am I from? I'm from the United Kingdom. Now, my voice can be a little strange at times. It is a weird accent. I went to private school in England, so I have a rather clipped English accent at times. But there are other times where I start to kind of lose the edges of things, and I sound a little American, and I will say certain American words. Why is that? It's because I work with Americans all day, every day. Yeah, I spend most of my working day with Americans, with American accents. reading and writing in American English, so... And I just wrote and finished a novel in American English. So as you can imagine, my head is very screwed up. I am English, I am from Yorkshire, and I've never had a Yorkshire accent again in private school and the army. But yeah, I do have some weird nuances with certain language, where I say certain words, because people around me are all saying it the American way. Welcome to language. It's a weird beast. And there's the cool little lake up here. Completely cut off from everything. Just up here in the mountains as I dribble more water on it. This aeroplane is incontinent. Those trees are awkwardly too close. There we go. Passengers will not be impressed today. So yes, I'm not American, and I know I get tons of comments from people saying, oh my god, like, why do you say these things in this weird, like, way? You said that the American way, you're English. Why, you should say it the correct way. Yeah, well, I'm kind of a hybrid. It's weird, I know. But hey, it is what it is. I think it makes me unique. My next door neighbor's a speech therapist, and she thinks my speech patterns are amazingly interesting. Because I use American annotations and kind of patterns of speech, but my accent is English, a lot of my words are used though American, so it is this weird hybrid of someone who's been living in America, even though I never have. Weird, huh? Right, where are we? So we're not far away, but we're not close either, so we'll have to see where we go. We are going to start descending though. Pull the power back. Start letting our nose drop down. I think we're just behind this hillock in front of us, so we should be okay. There should be another fish farm there on our right. And we're on an intercept path with our destination. Now, tried to answer quite a few of those key ones today. If you could think of any other questions you'd like to ask me, please do throw them in the comments. I might do a Q&A video, or I might just answer them in a flight video like this, but I will endeavour to answer you. What's my biggest bugbear? Hasn't been asked, but I'm going to tell you. It is the armchair warriors in the comments. And that's not everybody. Some people correcting me are very correct, and I will take their advice and listen. I love to. What I don't appreciate, though, is the patronising a-holes who decide they want to tell me in the comments, oh, actually, you meant to do it like this, you moron. The moron, you moron bits in kind of brackets. They don't say it, but they mean it. You know those comments where that tone comes across as like, oh my god, you're so stupid. Like, really stupid. No, I hate it. It's the actually people. Oh my god, it does my head in. Like, it completely does my head in. I hate it. And again, if you're pleasant about something, I'll listen to you and talk to you. It's great. Like, if you've got advice, wonderful. I'd love to hear it. But if you're going to come across like a self-entitled moron who thinks they have to basically dab on somebody because they know something they don't, get out of here. No one's got time for that. I had one guy tell me he was a real-world pilot who was aghast when I rode the stall horn down in a bush plane. It's a real technique. It's taught by backcountry pilots and backcountry instructors. The high alpha angle approach is a real thing. You will hear the stall horn a lot of the way down. A lot of GA pilots have beaten into them that the stall horn means you're stalling. It doesn't. You're 5 to 10 knots away from stalling, depending on where it's calibrated. So, yeah. Plus, not all planes stall equally. Planes with certain designs of wings will stall in one way versus another. Usually a high wing, a high lift wing, you'll get a really mushy stall. So you're not really likely going to spin in any direction. It also depends on how you're controlling the aircraft and your approach direction. If you have equal angle of attack on both wings, you can have a really nice mushy stall. It's wonderful. If anything, it actually lets you come in with low energy. This is the difference we get between the standard GA approach, where you're flying the plane to the runway, essentially, where you need quite a long distance to roll out. Why? You have a lot of energy, potential energy stored up that's not kinetic. Now, if you use that high alpha approach, coming in with the wing above level rather than pointing down, normal GA approach to wing is pointing down. So like this. Standard approach, right? Now, if you're like this on your approach, you can actually burn off a ton of that energy. So when you come down and make your approach, you have very little energy left in the aircraft, and your landing rollout distance is very short. Practiced and done safely, it's an incredibly safe and useful technique for backcountry flying. It's actually one that can get you into places you can't take off out of, which is awkward, so you have to be careful. But I had a guy that came into my comments and blasted back and forth for a while, telling me he was a real-world pilot and I knew nothing, and this was so stupid. What a moron I am. God, I'm such a fake. I'd have been more offended if it wasn't so funny. The guy was indignant. But hey, it is what it is. YouTube comments, they'll always be an amusing beast. Alright, where are we? We're slap bang on course. I think we're down here, around the bend a little bit, but we should be coming up on our destination. We're 7 miles out now. And then we'll be good. I love this Beaver. Like, with Blackbird coming out with their Otter and Turbo Otter, I'm so excited. Now, we probably won't see a Turbo Beaver, but I will take a regular Otter and a Turbo Otter and fly those all day long. Those planes are amazing. Turbo Otter on wheels, or bush tires, or skis. One on floats. Yes, please. Especially as I have the full Blackbird treatment, I would be down for that. Very down for that. Absolutely can't wait. Even if it only had the same features this one does, I'd still be down. That's cool. Yeah, I think we're going over the land here, so it's time to climb again. I think I descended a little too early here. Oh, there's a fish farm. We'll actually stay low here before this one, then we'll kind of nap around so you guys can see what this part of the scenery is. I'll include a link to the scenery in my description. I try and do that whenever possible. But these are all parts of the general kind of area of the Campbell River enhancement. And this is a fish farm. Quite literally a fish farm. You see that? Got the building, you got the mooring areas, the buoys, the anchors, the actual pens. It's a full-on fish farm. Yep. Let's power out of this low angle because we just ended where we needed to climb. Pull this back to an operational kind of climb number. Oh, sugar. Center tank. We were about to run dry on our front. Yep, should have looked at that sooner. We were about to run out. Climbing up towards hills. That would have been a wonderful time for me to lose engine power. Climbing up towards a hillside. Yeah, that would have been great. Running here at max takeoff weight almost. Just about. I've burned off a little fuel, but still pretty heavy. Losing my engine, climbing into terrain. Bye-bye. That would have been wonderful. Right, speaking of wonderful, we're about approaching now, so now it is time to cut the power. Alright. Prop full forward, mixture full forward. Confirm my water rudders are up. Landing gear is in the up position. That was it going down. This is it coming back up again. Landing gear is definitely up. One of the downsides of having no necessary indicator per se. But we should be alright. Alright, where is the seaplane base? I think it's around here somewhere. It's around the next bend. So we'll set up for our approach. Wind is from 262, so we're actually almost into the wind here. So I'm going to actually bring her down in this direction, and we'll come around the... No, we're a bit far away, actually. We'll find our way around the corner, we'll spot the base, we'll line up for a landing, and we'll come in. It's 3 knots, so I don't have to be too worried. I'm going to go with the channel direction, most likely. Unless it's possible to hit it from there. Just because I know I'm going to get waves from those directions, but 3 knots of wind, the waves won't be that big. So we should be fine. And looking down, there's nothing on the water, it's all looking pretty smooth, which is its own problem, but there's just enough wind to make it interesting. Right, little trim here. We should be around this bend. We'll put a notch of flaps in while we're in this kind of approach position. Where are you, Health Bay? Pretty sure it's over here somewhere. Like, right there. Wonderful. So we'll come around, we'll make our approach towards the seaplane base here. Still leaky floats. I love this spot. It's beautiful. It's very bright down there for some reason today. Whoa, hello. Right, little power. We're going to want to come around here. And... not going to be... well, a little crosswind, but it's 3 knots. I can live with it for 3 knots. It's not really going to affect me at all. The waves aren't going to be big enough to dictate I do it either. When you are dealing with bigger kind of sea states, you do want to worry about wave direction. Because landing across the waves is not a bright idea. Alright, coming round. There they are, so this should be fairly simple. We are sinking like a rock though. Ooh. Little heavier than I'd like, but not bad. We'll let our speed bleed off here until we can pull the flaps up, which will help us kind of put more weight in the water. And as soon as we lose more speed, we'll get those down. We'll introduce a little direction here. We don't want to give it too much because that's just going to ask for trouble. I'm going to tip the plane over. So mooring, we've got very low winds. So this is actually an ideal opportunity for it. So I'm going to kill my pump now, actually. And we're going to have to get this right before we kill our engine. Because having your engine on in the water, it can definitely start to pull the plane. So we don't want to be doing that. So the water physics in here aren't wonderful, so we're doing our best. And we have to work out when to kill this engine. It's right ahead of us there. We're more ahead of that boat on the outside of the pontoon. And we should be good. There's some of our flying seaplanes up here in Canada and Alaska that really feel so freeing. It's just a different world. These isolated settlements and communities. It's so cool. Right. We're drifting, we're drifting. Okay, we're looking good. We're still drifting a little bit here. That got weird for a second, didn't it? Mags are off. And with the wind coming from offshore, this should blow us into the actual dock here. We'll be able to hop out here, jump aboard the jetty, moor up and pull the aircraft in. For some reason, I'll put my gear down and it'll stop the plane. Because reasons and flight sim logic. See? Oh, look, it stopped the plane. It's so stupid, but it works. Welcome to Health Bay. Now, this is my first opportunity to use my new controller. This one doesn't die like my old one. So I should be able to just go... It works! It's so smooth, an Xbox One-y. Health Bay. Little village town. And that's a decent mooring job, because we would have technically tapped the side of the jetty and just turned straight on. But we stopped within a reasonable distance of the... that's a Defender, actually, that boat. Very useful police boat. And we would have been able to moor. So I'm counting as a win for docking into this game, because it's a bit messy at times. But hey, welcome to here. Hope you enjoyed the flight today. And like I said, if you have any questions that I haven't answered in today's video and you'd like to know the answer, throw them at me, and I will do my best to answer. So, thanks for watching. Bye!